Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. The case that I'm going to be looking into today is the case of Andrew Gosden, and recently there has been like a massive, it could potentially be a massive break in the case. So I was asked to do an update video on it, but I have not actually covered his case at all on my channel, so I figured that I would do his case and then add like the update onto the end of it kind of thing. So yeah, let's get into it. Andrew Gosden was born on the 10th of July in 1993 to parents Kevin and Glenys in Doncaster, South Yorkshire in England. He had a sister called Charlotte, and growing up, I believe his parents were Christian, but they never really pushed their views on their children or anything like that. Never had the kids baptised. You know, just basically left it up to them as to whether they wanted to believe or not. Andrew was a very like loner kid. He would like to spend a lot of time indoors playing his games, which is, you know, fair enough. Each to their own. He would prefer being inside than outside, which a lot of people do. He loved playing video games. At one point he was in the Scouts, but I believe just before he went missing he quit it. He wasn't in it anymore. In school he was an amazing student. He got really good grades. He was part of this gifted and talented program that the school were running. He just did so well in there. He was predicted to get like straight A's and was a very intelligent boy. And as I've said, outside of school, he just spent a lot of time in his house. He didn't even have a phone. He did have a phone at one point, but I believe that he lost it and then he never asked for another one. So he didn't even ask for that to get replaced by his parents. He wasn't really interested in things like that, like being overly social and talking to friends on the phone and on the internet and things like that. That didn't interest him whatsoever. He just wanted to be home and wanted to be playing his games. He was also very interested in like rock bands, of which he listened to a lot. He was very interested in music. So now we're coming up to when Andrew actually went missing. Days before, I believe that he told his parents that he had walked home instead of taking the bus. Apparently that journey from school to home was very long. So it's wondered as to why he did that. Was he being bullied or something like that? Did he fancy just a walk instead? Who knows? Because it was a massive journey for him to undertake. So that was quite uncharacteristic of him, and he did behave uncharacteristically like Andrew, sort of in the days before he vanished. So we're now on the 14th of September in 2007. Andrew actually woke up late for school. And he was visibly irritable, which was not like him at all, as his family have said. Normally, he would get up without an issue in the morning, but on this occasion, he ended up getting up late because he was struggling to get out of bed. He just didn't want to do it. But he finally did. He got up, he got dressed, he got ready for school, and then he left the house at 8:05, which was assumed that he had gone to catch the bus by his family. However, that is not what he did. He went and sat in a park, on a park bench, and basically sat there until a time that he knew his family would have all gone. Once that occurred, he went back home. He was caught on surveillance camera from a neighbour walking back home. He went inside, he took his school uniform off. He put his uniform in the washer, draped his blazer over a chair. He put on a black Slipknot t-shirt. He pulled on some jeans and he picked up his like backpack with these rock bands' names on it, I believe. He grabbed his PSP, his wallet and his keys. And then he left the house. Now, he did end up going to an ATM. I'm not entirely sure whether that was before he went home or after, but I assume after because he's picked up his wallet and then he's gone. So that's why I think it's after. He ends up going to an ATM and he withdraws £200. Apparently, I did read somewhere that he could only withdraw sort of 20s. Whether that's all the machine had at the time, I don't know. Or whether that's even a fact, I don't know. But he had £214 in his bank and he withdrew 200, leaving, you know, only 14 left. He also had £100 in cash in his room, which he did not take, which is, I found really strange because he's withdrew 200 out of his bank and yet he's left that money there. I don't know. It was, I believe, from birthdays and things, you know, where you get some cash and you just stash it in your room. He knew it was there. So why he didn't take it, I don't know. But he didn't. Another thing that people really do focus on in this case is that he took his PSP, but he never took his charger. Which, admittedly, does lead you to believe that maybe he was coming back. He didn't intend on just leaving it, and he was going to come back eventually because he loved his PSP. You know, if he was planning on running away, then why did he not take the charger with him? I think that, yes, okay, that is plausible, but maybe he just forgot. Maybe he was getting ready, leaving, getting all his stuff together, and just forgot to take the charger, because it does happen. It might not be the case. He might have had every intention to come back, but it could be the case. He could have just forgotten it. The thing that sort of contradicts that as well, like, is that why didn't he take that money? He didn't take his charger. He didn't take the money. Everyone believes that he planned on coming back. Maybe he was going out to meet somebody and figured that he would come back later and he wouldn't need all of that money or whatever, and that he could come back, he would be coming back home and it would still be there. Who knows? Then Andrew went ahead and he boarded a train at 9:35. He was seen on footage at that time. He was also seen on the train playing on his PSP. The train was heading to London, and that is where he ended up. With regards to his school, he had a 100% attendance record. Like, literally, he was there every day. He didn't skip school. He didn't miss a day. And it was abnormal for him to not come in unless he was ill, kind of thing, which they would have informed the school. His family would have said he's not coming in today, he's poorly, but that never happened, and Andrew never made it into school. So the school, being worried, rang his house, but what they actually did was they misdialed one of the numbers, and therefore the call never actually went through. So they would have rang, no one would have answered, and they would have figured no one's home, and you know, we've tried. But they actually rang the wrong number, which is really unfortunate, because if his family would have known that he was not in school and missing, he would have been reported as missing a lot sooner, and then maybe they would have found him. But it's just such an unfortunate thing in this case that happened. Andrew then arrived in London at 11:20 a.m. and the CCTV picked him up leaving King Cross Station at 11:25. And this is the last footage of Andrew, the last sighting of him. Then Andrew's parents were sitting down later on that evening. Unbeknownst to them that he was not in his room like they thought he was. They figured he was in his room. He's playing on his games like he was all the time. He'd come home from school safe after being at school all day, and that he was just up there, but he wasn't. They did not know that. They did eventually realise that he actually wasn't home at all, and that was so out of character for him. So they ring up some of his friends, see whoever he's with them. That is when they discover that he wasn't even at school that day. And so they'd call the police immediately and report him as missing. His father and sister went out to look for him, hoping that they could find him somewhere, but they found nothing. Everyone was doing everything that they could to try and find Andrew, and his case just sort of went out to the public, and people were just the police were just trying to get anything that they could. Then 3 days later, the person who sold the ticket to Andrew came forward to say that they had sold him a train ticket. They never even checked the trains, I don't believe, initially, but then this person came forward to say that he was on the train, and so that is when they decided to check him, and they realised that he had gone to London. This person also said that when Andrew was buying his ticket to London, they offered him a return ticket for less than £1 more, and he refused. Now that struck me as very strange, because if he had every intention of coming back home, why did he not get a return ticket? Unless he planned on staying there for a day and then coming home. But I mean, he was 14 at the time. Why would a 14-year-old go to London on his own without telling his parents, stay there for a day, without telling his parents, who were obviously panicked and worried, and then come home a different day on a different ticket? It doesn't make sense to me at all. What makes more sense is that he didn't plan on coming home and that he was potentially running away. Or another theory is that maybe he was meeting somebody in London. I've got into the series way too soon here, but let me just get it off my brain. Maybe he was meeting somebody in London, and that person in London had promised him that they would take him home. Therefore, he wouldn't need a return. Who knows? Anyway, they went ahead and searched everywhere, but they couldn't find him. Now, I believe it took the police 3 weeks to look into the CCTV footage, where they finally found him arriving in London. I don't understand why they took so long, and it is very frustrating because London is heavily surveillanced. There are cameras freaking everywhere, and a lot of them maybe only record for a couple of days or a week before they rewrite themselves because they don't have that much storage. So they took that long look into the CCTV. I don't know why, but they did. That most of it was already gone. So they could have found exactly where he went once they found that he was sold a ticket to London, but they just didn't look at the CCTV. And I don't get why, and it's so frustrating in this case because if they did, they probably could have literally tracked exactly where he went, but they didn't. So there you go. It was suggested that maybe Andrew was going down there to these music festivals that were happening. I believe 30 Seconds to Mars was playing, another band was playing that he liked, and that maybe he'd gone down there to see some of them. Now, when his parents were actually informed that he'd gone down to London, they weren't actually surprised because they have family down there. And Andrew liked going down to London. However, he had never gone alone. So that was obscure. But they're thinking maybe he didn't have a return ticket, maybe he's going to stay with family, but nobody heard anything of him, nobody saw him. Then these music festivals came forward to, came into the picture that maybe he'd gone to them because he was really into his rock. But would a 14-year-old boy that had never skipped a day of school, skip a day of school, not tell his parents where he was going, get the train to London to attend a music festival, or a concert, sorry? That doesn't really make sense to me at all. Obviously, there were sightings called in of Andrew over Britain, but none of those were actually confirmed to be him, and there's just been nothing of him for years. Then in November of 2008, a man went to Leominster police station and he used the intercom to talk to a police officer where he said that he had information on Andrew. I believe they were short-staffed or something like that, and when they actually managed to get back to go and speak to this man, he was gone. They put out appeals for him to come forward, but he never did. Andrew's case was featured on a TV show, and through that, an anonymous person came forward to writing a letter, I believe, to claim that they were that person at that station and that they had information on Andrew, but that wasn't, again, it's not been confirmed. Over the years, there have been age progressions drawn of Andrew in the hopes that he is still out there somewhere. His parents have never changed the locks on the door because he left with his keys, and they believe that if he is still alive out there, that one day he will just walk back in and return home. And again, the theories are that he was a runaway. He just decided that he wanted to go and that was that. That he was talking to somebody online or something like that, and they had arranged to meet him with trafficking or human trafficking or something like that. But a theory against that is that he didn't have a mobile phone. Not to say that he couldn't have gained one. Maybe on his walk home from school that day, he met some person with ill intent, and that person could have given him a burner phone or something like that at some point. So just because he didn't have one of his parents doesn't mean that he necessarily did not have a phone at all. Going off that basis, if he didn't have a phone, how would he sort of chat to somebody online? He didn't have I'm not sure whether he didn't have a laptop or he didn't use a laptop for anything like that. Whether if he did have one, they looked into all that. There was no evidence of that. And also, he had his PSP and you can chat online with that. But even Sony looked into this and they said that no email or anything was ever registered on his PSP. It was never set up, and therefore he could not have gone on these online chat rooms or whatever because you need the email to set up the account, and it was never done. For many years, 15 years to be exact, Andrew was missing. His family had no idea where he was. Nobody knows what happened to him after that. Until, well, we still don't know what happened, but there has been some more information in the case, as I said in the beginning of my video. 2 men aged 38 and 45 were arrested in London on the 8th of December. These are the first arrests with regards to Andrew's case, by all accounts. Now, they have both since been released and are under investigation, but the older man was apparently arrested on suspicion of possessing indecent images, and since raids have been done on properties that are linked to them, and they have seized all of the electronics and are going to sift through them. Now, this could take months, and I know it's not giving names and it's not giving more information right now, but it's the latest information we have on this case, and it could be a massive break. I have no idea how the police got onto these people. Whether somebody reported them for having indecent images, and then when they looked into it, they maybe found something to do with Andrew on it, I don't know. That information has yet to be released. But they do believe that these two men may be involved with Andrew's case. And obviously, the Gosden family have stated that they understand that police investigations take several months, and that at this point in time, they don't want to speculate on any possible outcome. They also went ahead and said that they have had the burden of not knowing what happened for many years, and that recent developments provide such an emotional journey for them, which you can understand. They asked for the privacy at this moment in time. And yeah, that's all the information really that we have. The police haven't really released much, but again, this is an active investigation. They're not going to release everything to us because they want to, if these two people are involved, they want to get a conviction. Whether Andrew was human trafficked that day and they lured him into London and did who even knows what, murdered him, whether he's still alive out there, in human trafficking, if they keep people alive for that long, who actually knows? But with this new recent information, I really do hope that this finally corrects his case, because he was a 14-year-old boy that walked out of his house and has just never been heard of since. It was totally out of character for him to do so, to not be in school and to go off on his own. And now these people have been arrested. Well, they've since been released, but they're in connection with his case. And I just find it, after all these years, you know, I find it so hopeful. And I bet, you know, the Gosden family do as well. They just want to know what happened to their son. And it's been 15 years. It's been a long time. So hopefully, you know, I'm hoping that more information comes out, and I will keep you guys updated with like a pinned comment or something like that. But that's all the information we do have on this case as of today. And we can just hope that more does come out. Again, this could take months, so who knows at that point. I'm just going to keep my eyes peeled for it. But yeah, that's the end of the case. If you guys have enjoyed this video, give me a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for similar content. Anyway, that's all I have today on the case of Andrew Gosden. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.